Yeah, they're getting bills, they're starting to introduce bills, but the timing is fine.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, you're not late or anything. You're good. Hold on, one second.
Yeah.
2 questions for you. That's code enforcement. Okay. You're hearing them for March 10 or the 30th?
The March 10th.
You want
wanted them.
You want them all at 10 now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take them off my calendar. That's okay. And also, can I'll send you an email, but I need to make sure number. Yeah, for that.
Okay.
But I need to,
Okay.
I'll send you an email. Okay, thank you.
On,
Over,
site plan,
Okay.
do we need to do the variance on the parking lot? No, it's the same thing. Okay. All right,
So they have a,
I have-
they do ownership change?
No, we're just they're finally,
Testing 1, 2.
finally doing something.
That right with the land, you're good.
Okay, we do have to go for a variance for the landscape, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah, but, I didn't think we were gonna do
I
that.
won't complicate it. The only thing you could do is, for variance doesn't matter. One of the things I have to do is fill out
Yeah, it should, that's what I thought, we haven't got, everything else is all new, the site plan is different than, not the parking where the front building is, that's staying the same, we're doing everything right now.
Yeah.
That-
No, you should be fine. You should be
All
fine.
right, thanks,
Yep.
appreciate it.
I just thought you not tonight is saying some things. Many times I've been in Washington, I saw some things just this first night that I've never seen before. So it's ironically the way they're doing it makes us really enjoy Washington because we can see it now and not the people.
Yeah, you can, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's less of a,
The song tonight is beautiful. But the building they turned red, I don't know what it was.
what was it?
They were singing, and when they turned around to look at the building, during the music, one building was red.
Oh, they were like
turned
lighting
around-
up the buildings? That's
Yeah.
neat, yeah.
Well, I didn't know what the red one was.
Maybe they went red, white, and blue or something?
It
No,
was
just
a
stayed
different
red?
color. That one
Huh.
turned red and stopped, and that was brown. And
Yeah, I
it
don't know.
was really pretty.
I don't know. Hello.
It looks like Yolanda Adams, they have anything. Y'all look for me.
Doing well.
Y'all can't find me, okay, I'm gonna be okay.
Good evening.
I can sit. Good evening, meow.
Doing fine. Good evening.
Oh. Mayor, is Representative going to attend the meeting?
I'm sorry?
Is Representative Omari going to attend the meeting?
I'm not sure. Is Representative going to be here? Okay, not sure.
He's not?
So haven't seen him.
Okay, good, 'cause that means I can say what I want to say.
Okay.
It was good, but I don't want him to hear.
Okay.
Good evening. Good evening, Happy New Year. Thank you. I've seen you since then. You have? Thanks. Good evening. Okay, Happy New Year, second time.
Alrighty. One wants to do vacation? Vacation? We're just waiting for a form. Clerk went to make some copies. Okay. It's going to just be under comments. So that's going to only come under comments. That's not on the agenda, but on the comments.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
We'll discuss it on council comments.
Oh, okay.
Okay. McConnell won't be here. We'll put that on Smith's in case he comes.
That's how that is. I've been here a year.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to get started in just a moment. We thank you so much for your patience. We were just awaiting quorum. We have some things now in place, and we've taken care of all technical issues. Okay, great. And thank you so much for attending. And we're going to ask, just before we get started, if you have your telephones, your cell phones, if you could just place those on vibrate, we would appreciate it. We'll give you a moment to do that, and then we'll call into session. Not yet. Yeah, we're just giving a moment just to attend to our technical issues. Okay. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. So at this point in time, we're now going to call the Town of Mangonia Park regular Town Council meeting of January 19th, 2021 to the session. Roll call, please. Here.
Vice Mayor Johnson. Here. And Councilmember Green.
Thank you so much. We do have a quorum, so at this time, we would invite you to stand for invocation, please.
Gracious Lord and Maker, we love you, we honor you, we magnify your holy name. We thank you, God. You have given us this new year and an opportunity to continue in your service. We pray for wisdom, direction, and discerning powers, so that all that we say and do will be in harmony with you. May we be at peace with each other, and may love begin to multiply throughout this nation, throughout this world. Thank you for allowing us to serve. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. You may be seated. And just as we get ready to attend to the agenda, I would like to just take a moment of personal privilege. We can just take a moment of silence in memory of all of those who have succumbed to the COVID-19 virus. Thank you. Thank you. And for all of those who are attending with us by way of our YouTube channel or by way of Zoom, we thank you so much for attending. And keep in mind that if you have any questions, we want you to participate. So feel free to just hit the button. There should be an icon there that allows you to just raise your hand, and we will acknowledge that. Thank you so much. So at this point in time, we'll return to our agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or substitutions to the agenda?
No additions from staff, sir.
Thank you so much. Hearing that there are no additions, substitutions, or deletions, motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, I so move that we approve the agenda as stated.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign. It is carried. And again, all of those items that we normally would have annotated with an asterisk would be for our consent agenda. At this time, we have none noted, but if there are any items for the consent agenda, we'll entertain those now. Any items for the consent agenda? Hearing none, we will continue on in our agenda. At this time, we'll go out to item 4. This is our proclamations and presentations. We have a presentation on behalf of the Meritus Group regarding the road abandonment in Oxford Village at lots 1 through 12, Mangonia Park. We're going to ask if you just state your name and address for the record, please.
Mayor, while Mr. Bergeri's coming up, just for council's benefit, this is a presentation. Later on in the agenda, there is an action item related to this. This is just a presentation for the road abandonment for Lakeshore Drive.
Thank you so much. And just before he begins, let the record reflect that Councilman Smith is joining the dais. Thank you so much. We will now yield the floor to the Meritus Group.
Yes, thank you.
Good evening, Dante Frigeri, Meredith Homes, 1400 Center Park Boulevard, West Palm Beach.
Good evening.
On behalf here of Meredith Homes. On the handout that I provided you, this is the current road alignment that is within the community right now that we're petitioning to vacate. In order to facilitate our new site plan, this part of the road has to be vacated. And so that's what we're doing here this evening. We provided all the documentation to your legal counsel, which is currently being reviewed. I believe we received some comments and have been resubmitted. So at that point, I'm here to answer any questions. However, this is just part of the process in order to vacate this road, so that this way we plat the new road alignment over that.
Oh, thank you so much. Just before we entertain any council comments, we'll go to staff and then to our attorney, and then we'll see if there's any comments from the dais. Okay, nothing? Okay, Amity?
Yeah, and I'll give the same update again. I know this was just a presentation item on your agenda, but your town code requires essentially a two-step process. This is step 1 of that process. So under 21-44 of your town code, you as a town council have before you tonight a petition for roadway abandonment. You are allowed tonight to either deny that or set it for public hearing. So tonight is not the public hearing. Tonight is the ultimately the precursor to a public hearing. So once we get to the discussion item, I can give you a little bit more guidance. But as he said, this has been reviewed by staff. The recommendation is to move it forward to council for your consideration tonight. And should you so desire to move forward with the public hearing process, which would be the next phase of this. So again, tonight is not the public hearing. Tonight is just your consideration of the petition and your either motion, you can do it by motion or resolution under your code, but to move it forward or to deny it.
Thank you so much, Amity. So at this time, we'll see if there's any questions or comments on behalf of council. Do you have any questions or comments at this time?
So this is basically a legal step that's being done as far as this goes. This is not, any actual production for this road. This is just a legal aspect to meet. Yeah.
Thank you.
I said, apparently this is just a legal step that must be done. That's for the records to indicate this road is abandoned, then you can move forward with additional requests.
Yes, ma'am. As you've seen in previous public hearings, this current roadway, Lakeshore Drive, that portion of Lakeshore Drive that exists out there today, this developer does not need that current configuration. So this is the petition to get rid of that existing roadway. There's also a water line under it, which will have to be abandoned. But yes, this is just a legal step to proclaim that there's no public purpose for the roadway and to formally abandon it. And your town code has a very specific process, which he is kind of in the middle of right now. But yes, that's correct.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any further questions, Vice Mayor?
No, this is want to make sure this doesn't affect anybody who's living on this road. This is just for procedures.
Yes, there are two current, and I'll yield to the developer, but there are two houses currently serviced by the roadway, one of which I understand has a maintenance person who is sometimes there, but there is not, these are not occupied residences, normal, and that will cease, essentially, once the roadway is abandoned.
If I may, one of the homes is completely boarded up, and then the other, to the attorney's point, was that, yeah, he's there periodically. He's essentially just a caretaker for the property, or the property owners itself. And so, that's really about it. But again, we're working through facilitating the utility, a temporary utility easement, to keep that water line functional.
All right, thank you so much. Councilwoman Green?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to reference the statements you just made, because the yellow house and the house that the young man was to take for the property, I was going to say because no one uses that road anyway. And that, you answered my question. Go on.
Are there any other questions or comments? Okay. Councilman Smith?
What's the timeline on the water line? You're saying that you were going to abandon the roadway, but you gave in your presentation. If I'm hearing you correctly, something about the water line. Give some clarity on what is the future of that water line is on.
So the gentleman who is currently occupying the facility, again, he's just a caretaker, so he's there from time to time. However, if we
Can you talk a little closer to the mic?
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
A
little bit?
little bit.
All right. So if the...
There you go.
All right.
Now I can hear you.
So so in order to continue through the process, we have to abandon the road right-of-way. However, there's a water line, a 3-inch water line that currently runs alongside that. Working with your town attorney, again, if I may, we're going to vacate that, but we're going to keep a temporary water line easement in place that's there. Now, once we've gone beyond that process, we're going to take out that line because it's no longer going to serve any kind of a purpose, and we're going to come in and put in all new water lines for the project.
And that's what I thought I was hearing, that you said
Yeah,
clarity.
absolutely.
Other
Yes.
than that, you just clarified what I thought I was hearing.
Yeah, correct. Again, good question. I just wanted to reemphasize that we will still be able to provide facilities to that residence in the event, up until the point of construction.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarity.
Are there any other council comments or questions? Councilwoman Green?
I have a question, but I don't think it's relevant to the property, so I'd like to ask about the water, but after he completes his presentation, I think I'll be in. I'll wait till he does his presentation, then I ask.
Okay.
I'm finished.
Right. Okay. Okay. You finished the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have a question or comment at this time?
I don't want to start a conversation that prolongs the meeting, because I just thought of something. I asked the town manager, I wanted to know how this was going to impact when you said the water, you're bringing up another, how it's going to impact the water consumption already. Because you just said you were going to add, did you say take away a water line or add another one?
So the 3-inch line that's currently facilitating that one residence
Right.
will no longer serve a purpose.
Right.
So that's a 3-inch line. We're coming in and we're looping with the 8-inch line, is what we're coming in.
That's
So we're gonna reconfigure all of the water lines onto the property and then come out on West Lake.
That's what I thought you said. So, is this going to Mr. Mayor, if you tell me this is going to prolong a conversation, I can ask the next time. Is this going to increase the water usage tremendously? Because I don't think we ever talked about that, did we, Mr. Mayor?
There was some discussion.
Your utility consultant provided you with an overview.
Yes, we did speak concerning it, and I'll go to Ken in terms of the capacity. Do we have capacity to provide it? So there was conversation previously, Ken?
So back in the summer and the early fall, council passed an updated comp plan for the state, and included in the comp plan was an updated 10-year water supply plan, which took into account new development. So even with this new development coming, we would still be okay. So we can still handle that.
The reason I was concerned, Mr. Mayor, is because the controversy already that impacts the water with our residents. That was why I was concerned. So we can talk about it later.
All righty. To the concern raised by Councilman Green, so just for the record, we have attended to the capacity issue, that we do have capacity and there's not an issue.
Not an issue.
Okay.
What did you say?
Okay. We were just restating that it had been addressed earlier, what we call the whole capacity issue. Do we have the capacity to provide
Right.
to the development? And that was answered. I think our engineers was involved as well. And so they did their study and determined that we can provide it, and there's no hindrance to the provision of water for the rest of the town. So we'd be okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Other questions or comments?
I guess I just wanted to ask, you did say that the part-time resident is on this property, he's on the road. He's only there for, maintenance of this property, you said?
Yeah, so essentially what he does out there for the owners of the property, he cuts the grass, attends to any odds, basically just a presence, because if not, there was ongoing dumping beforehand. So that's the whole reason. But he's on a, he understands the property will be developed, and again, that's why he's probably there part-time. So there's no real concern with him. I spoke with the sellers this morning. They are fully aware and on board and support everything that we're doing. Actually, they're the ones who have to actually sign the applications.
Tante, does that yellow house, who does that yellow house belong to?
The Shapiros, the property owners. They had someone who was renting month to month there, and then they wound up just leaving, so they boarded up the house so that this way no transients, it wouldn't be vandalized, or, people get in there and just, do all the wrong things, so they have the house boarded up.
What are they going to do with it?
We're going to bulldoze it once we go through it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the rest of my question was, so that there will be a barrier that will cross at the property line when this is abandoned, is that what's going to happen?
No, once we have to abandon this road, the existing road, in order to build and accept the new roads.
Yes, I understand. I'm just saying, you said that there will only be limited access as long as this gentleman is still maintaining this property.
No,
So at a point of approval, what change will be made with this?
the houses, everything will be cleared off the site, and we're going to build our site.
Okay.
So this road will be closed off?
Correct.
That's what I'm
Yes,
saying,
ma'am.
okay.
Okay, Councilman Smith?
Attorney Reed, restate what is tonight. And I think we're kind of getting a horse before the carriage. Can you kind of repeat that again, in case for anyone listening? I heard it, but just repeat.
Most certainly, sir. Yes, the petition before you tonight is strictly for roadway abandonment. Your code essentially carves out a two-step process. So tonight is step one. The petition is before you, it's gone through staff review, staff has advanced it forward to town council for your consideration. Tonight, you can, by motion or resolution, deny the request to abandon the roadway, or you can set it for public hearing. As the applicant has stated, his application states that there is no public purpose for this roadway. As he said, there is a limited caretaker using the roadway, but that will cease. The other issue is the underground water line. As he said, that will also be discontinued. It will be appropriately capped. David Stambaugh, the town engineer, will be greatly involved in that. Until that happens, we will work on a legal mechanism, a temporary easement, to make sure that the town has access until that water line is discontinued, should the town need to utilize that line. So we'll do all the things that are legally required to make sure that we can access it should we need to. But as he said, his development doesn't utilize the roadway nor the water line. There will be new roadways and new water lines. So tonight is just step one of the roadway abandonment petition pursuant to your code.
Okay, thank you for reading and thank you for listening to anybody. But, Dante, you said something earlier, and I hope the listeners caught it, I hope we caught it today, is that area was, a lot of illegal things were going on there. I used to walk it. And so, now that the potential will be developed, everything was happening in there. Like I said, I walked, my kids were younger, I was younger, and I saw things that I really didn't like seeing in there. So I understand the purpose why the gentleman was in the house, just a precedent, as you said earlier. To kind of ward off, not to avoid detour. Sure. Illegal activities. So we got to pay attention to that. So I hope we caught that in the presentation. Again, it was a mess.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I want to ask you a
Council?
question.
Okay, ready? Just make sure that we have the floor. Okay, Councilman Green.
If I heard you correctly, this road is not used anyway, so if the road is not used anyway, we still have to have a public hearing?
Yes, ma'am. To formally abandon the road, that is your code process. Yes, ma'am.
Am I correct, to make out, no one uses that road? I just wanted to make sure that road is not used.
Just the one occupant of the.
Right, it's not used anyway. Okay, I just want to make sure I was right.
Other council comments or questions? Okay. Ready, so just for the record, there are no other utility issues at all. It's just a water line. There's nothing else. Okay. And for staff and our attorney, and so all of the persons necessary or needed to have reviewed, that being our engineer, our attorneys, and everyone has reviewed the request, and there are no issues related to it? No concerns?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. Ready, so if we've properly attended to the request, if there's no other questions or comments? Okay. Other than to state that at this point, we have, just to restate, we have two options. One is we could approve it or deny it, and or we can motion to set it for a public hearing. In light of the fact that we've been going through this about a year and a half, if we have the ability to approve it tonight, I would just suggest we consider doing that so that we don't hold up anything any further. But of course, whatever your pleasure is. Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry if I may interrupt. This is just the presentation portion.
I'm sorry, my
if we
mistake.
could,
I got ahead of it.
Thank you, sir.
Right. So yes, this is just the presentation part, my correction. Okay. Alrighty. So with that, if there's no other questions or comments as it relates to the presentation, okay, then we will revisit this in just a moment. Okay. All right, thanks so much. We appreciate it. We'll see you in just a moment. All right, thanks so much. We're going to continue on our agenda. Our next item is our Palm Beach County League of Cities, item 5, Amity.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Just a brief reminder, the general membership meeting for the league is next week on the 27th of January at noon. It is still a virtual attendance, a web meeting, if you will, a conference meeting. As I relayed last time, the two speakers are the property appraiser and the new clerk of courts. So the Dorothy Jack's presentation is about how COVID could impact your revenues, and then the second presentation is just an introduction for Joseph Abruzzo, who is the new clerk and comptroller. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments for Amity?
Mr. Mayor, we will send out the link, the Zoom link, so everyone can join the meeting. And I think if you join the link and you hear a property appraiser, you might hear her specifically brag on Manny Park a little bit.
Oh, good, good. And we use a little bragging nowadays, so, okay, good, thanks so much. Okay, we have nothing for item 6, so we'll move on our agenda. Our next item is item 7A, and this is a discussion on the approval of a road emergency project at 53rd Court, south to 4701 East Avenue. Ken?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, this item was actually approved for this year's budget cycle. We spent a lot of time talking about it during the budget hearings and whatnot. And on our engineers, Mr. Van Cott, on his recommendation, the management would support and recommend to town council that we approve this repair of approximately a quarter of a mile on East Avenue, beginning just below 53rd Court South and going approximately to the crosswalk at Costoin. And that amount is for $103,000. Actually, in the budget, there's $148,000. But we get J.W. Cheatham to do this, there would be no mobilization. So that would be staff's recommendation to have this part of the East Avenue repaired on an emergency for $103,000 with J.W. Cheatham. Now, be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments? Councilman Smith?
Yes, can you hear me? Manager Metcalf, if we've had a ton of budget meetings, so what line item was this under and how far ago did we discuss it? So I'm asking for specifics if you can provide it.
Well, the specifics on this one, Councilman Smith, is during the budget process. That would have been during the summer, perhaps as late or as recently as September. And this is under street repair, under public works. That's the line item.
What's the numeric line item? Do you know that off the top of your head? Or can you provide that later?
Repeat the question, please.
What was the numeric line item? It's on street repairs. I don't have the.
Okay. That would have been under 630.
Thanks.
And the department number, Sherry, is
575.
I've got 541000 and number 630, capital outlay infrastructure.
Thank you. I don't mean to put you on the spot like that, but
Let's not see.
actually I did. No.
Now, you put me on the spot, I put her on the spot.
Any other questions or comments, Councilman Smith?
That's it, Mayor.
Okay,
Thank
any?
you.
else? Oh, you're welcome. Any other council comments or questions as it relates to this item? Any other council comments or questions?
I just was asking about, doing this repair. I understand you're saying this is going to be several layers of the roadway that will be reconstructed, I guess you said, for the better. I'm hoping for prevention of further decay. So is that the purpose of this restructuring?
Vice Mayor, this is a mill and repave, which they go down considerably. They take a lot of asphalt and remove it and build it back up. In regard to prevention of further decay, we're gonna, if Van were here, he would be recommending that we do some type of flood analysis for this street to include Fairfield and East Avenue. But this is basically a repair job. This is not gonna prevent future flooding.
I know it's necessary, but I know it's a pothole, it's a pothole, it's a pothole in this area.
And just to clarify, we have patched this over and over, but the beating that we took over the summer and in the fall, we just need to go ahead and get this done before somebody hurts their vehicle.
Other comments or questions? Any other comments or questions?
My question then, we're discussing what they put in the budget, this price of 2000. Are we voting on it tonight, or are we just discussing it tonight?
The recommendation is to approve it tonight.
Thank you.
Are there any other council comments or questions? Now, Ken, this comes about way of a staff recommendation for approval. Just for the record, if you just state, now the 100,000 is under our bid requirement? In addition to that, are we piggybacking, or
No,
this is just a straight?
Straight emergency requisition.
Ready? So if there's any other questions or comments the council may have? Hearing none. So we have before this item that is coming before us from staff, and they're making a recommendation that we approve the request for the road emergency project at 53rd Court, south of 4701 East Avenue, in an amount not to exceed $103,000. And of course, this was budgeted for this fiscal year, as stated and reflected by the budget sheet. If there's no other questions at this time, we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I so move that we approve the emergency road request project for 57th Street South on East Avenue.
Second.
Motion has been made and has been properly seconded by Councilwoman
I
Green.
do have a question, since we motion and we seconded, I will add the question later, so we're gonna keep, or we need to keep moving, so, I'm gonna go forward.
Okay, that's quite okay. That's quite okay. We can actually, if you have a question on the motion, we can take it now.
No, not a question on the motion is fine.
Okay.
Not a question on the second, I had a question concerning.
Oh, sure, go right ahead.
All right, since, again, without being redundant, since we motioned a second, when these repairs start, what are the, turn their routes on back of road that people be able to travel, and how long will it take from start to finish on this phase? And that's something you can answer, that's probably a generic question to answer, and I can, we can get it later, so I want to put you on the spot. I was curious, but I don't need to put you on the spot.
I can give a guess of about 2 to 3 weeks,
Yes, sir.
up to a month, if you're doing this part of the repair. And your other question, I'm sorry.
If you're doing that extensive repair, then the road can be traveled, so what are the alternative roads of each of the sites that's still in place?
Staff, the contractor, and the sheriff's office will come up with a plan. So
Okay.
we'll obviously have signs up, and it'll be petitioned off and everything. So we'll be with the sheriff's office.
I mean, I don't expect anybody to be doing this on a super highway, but if you're doing that type of extensive work and repair, and you gotta travel sometime for you.
Yeah, basically,
the side roads.
you would, instead of coming off of 45th, you'd have to go to Australia and maybe come down 53rd Court north.
Yes, sir. All right, thank you.
Okay. Other comments or questions? Now, in the, if indeed this is approved, we're setting some time parameters so that we don't have an endless project, correct?
I'm sorry, sir.
If approved, we are going to set in place some time parameters, so we do not have a ongoing project that may last a year or two, and with the stated conditions, of course,
Yeah,
are normal.
yes, sir. It's my understanding this is an emergency project, so I would presume it's going to be done as quickly as the contractor can perform it.
Yes, immediately, and I would say immediately up to 30 days to commence.
Yeah, we'll prepare your standard contractual agreement, so, 6 months, whatever your end date. I guess we need to get more specifics from the contractor in terms of exactly how long it's going to take, but there can be time restrictions placed in the contract, yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, it has been properly moved and seconded. There are no additional questions on the motion. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Gray,
Yes.
Councilmember Strand,
Definitely, yes.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
and Mayor Allen.
Yes.
Council unanimous.
Thank you so much. Our next item is item 7C, and this is a consideration to set a date and time for the public hearing on the petition of the road abandonment as presented in agenda item 4A. I'm sorry, I'm in a hurry to get out of here, and I checked off 7B, so I moved ahead and checked it off and went right past it. My apologies. 7B, my apologies to you, sir. Request for the approval of outside storage from Southern Cross Boat Works Incorporated, vacant lot 47th Street, Roebuck subdivisions, and the lots is stated in the agenda. And the applicant is present, so we're going to actually just come forward and state his name and address for the record.
And Mr. Mayor and Council, you do have pictures in your packet of the site.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, for the record, my name is George Gentile. I'm president of 2PHO Landscape Architects Planners, and we're representing Southern Cross Boat Works, Inc., who is asking tonight for the outdoor storage. If you recall, we were here last meeting to get their temporary building put in so that they can start operating here. And Councilmember Smith, I know that you were on the phone. I don't know if you were able to hear the entire thing, but this company provides maintenance scaffolding for the major yacht and boating companies in South Florida, particularly here in Riviera Beach and in West Palm Beach for Viking and Rybovich. And they have decided to move their headquarters from Fort Lauderdale to Mangonia Park. And they bought a site. And so tonight we're here just to ask for the outdoor storage on the project. And if I could, if you don't mind, so you can hear me. This is the property. You have these pictures in here, but just to give you, this is East Avenue. This area here is a non-built roadway, which is 47th Street. This is in an industrial area. There's vehicles stored here. The neighbor here is actually waiting for us to get through the process to get hooked up to utilities when we bring the utilities in for the temporary building, so they'll be afforded the ability to have those utilities. And this is the plan that was approved, the location of this temporary building, and this will be the outdoor storage area. And then we are in the process of bringing to you a final site plan with 12,000 square feet of building that will house their corporate headquarters and also training facilities to create jobs in the marine maintenance industry here in Mangonia Park. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Well, first and foremost, thank you, because I was on the phone, they noted that, and there was some technical glitches
Yes, sir.
not here, so I'm hearing you loud and clear now.
Very, very good. I just wanted to make sure you understood the company that was coming here. So, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Any staff comments at this time before we come to council? Mayor, do you have anything at this point?
No, sir, thank you.
So we'll come back to the dais if there's any questions or comments. Council, any council comments or questions?
No, I think we pretty much covered the process of this last session, even though it was not for the purpose of outside storage. Expecting you to get here tonight.
Last week, when we had a northeaster come in and a cold front, and when the gust winds get up to 30 miles an hour, they have to pull all the scaffolding away from these mega $1 million yachts and bring them here, and then as soon as it calms down and they can get it going again, they put it back at the marinas for them to continue working on boats.
Okay, for us.
That's the folded down scaffolding. That's what they're doing. They have some trucks that they will be bringing to the site, and they have step vans that they take the stuff in and out of, and basically that's really it.
Okay. Now, for those of us that are not in the industry, we're looking at a picture, and I see that they're tied down, and they're tied down with metal bands.
Mm-hmm. They have to transport them, and they have to be totally secured together. And then each piece, as you know what a scaffolding is, it comes apart and they put them together into rectangles and they move them up. And you saw the pictures last meeting of the ships that have the scaffolding put on. They also do shrink wrap for the boats, and they also do the sandblasting tenting that they put across the boat. So if you go right now down US 1 in West Palm as well as in Riviera Beach, you'll see those big tents around the boats where they're sandblasting and painting. They also provide those for those boats as well, for the maintenance. And then their plan is to teach people here, and they will be working with the city, with the town, to get hopefully people interested in doing that type of employment. And they're going to set up a training facility right here on this site, in the buildings that we're working on now, they're being designed right now. So,
Okay.
okay?
Ready? Other questions? Councilman Smith?
I'm going to go outside the box. I'm old school, so I don't Google everything. I don't
Yes, sir.
Facebook everything. So I have a little history about this magnificent company that you train and is going to facilitate Rivera and all the other port cities. There's a little history behind it before I do Google it. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
You can get online and go to their website, and they have a complete program there that shows their operations. They have been providing the materials for marine maintenance, such as this, for, I think, 11 to 12 years. And they have been located at the Fort Lauderdale Marina in Fort Lauderdale, of course. And they are moving out of that area because that marina is being expanded. And so they're moving their operations up here. And they have been providing most of their services in this area because this is becoming one of the largest marine areas. And the reason I know that is because I happen to be the president of the Marine Industries Association of Palm Beach County, among my other nighttime jobs, as planning and landscape architecture and a council commissioner up in the north end of the county. So they are coming here because this is where most of their activities are, and they've had a very hard time servicing the marine maintenance people and the big yacht companies here because, as I said earlier, they put the scaffolding up while they're working on these boats, but if there's a wind event, a hurricane, major storm events, they all have to come down because they can't have these scaffold materials hitting these mega $1 million boats. So they have to take them down, store them, and then as soon as the event is over, they put them right back up where they move them to another boat that's come in for maintenance purposes. And so their goal is to establish their headquarters here and to set up a training facility here so that they can train people to come to work for them as well as other industries such as doing fiberglass work and repairs of boats, hulls, and that type of stuff.
Okay, my last question.
Yes, sir.
Since you so eloquently explained that, why this town?
Because this is a great location for them to service both West Palm, no longer Rybovich, I have to say, as of this past week, Rybovich, the Heinzing has sold the Rybovich Marinas to Star Marine, and but they will be providing the services to them in West Palm at their new facilities and expanded facilities on I think that's Lake Drive. I guess it's right there near the north of the downtown area. And the second largest marine area in all of Palm Beach County is in Riviera Beach, right here near the port and north of the port area. This is the perfect location for them to locate to service all of their clients. It also provides them I-95 access still to Fort Lauderdale and Miami, where they do still work there.
So you're telling me location, proximity, and we do have northeasters and hurricanes, so I guess you're right, with scaffolding have to come down and those somewhere. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate your question.
Other questions or comments? All right, and I'm looking at your application, and you stated scaffolding and the things that you stated prior to, so I won't rehearse it. And it is understood, just for the record, that if it is approved, that it's only for those items listed and those things that are actually related to the business.
Yes, sir.
All righty, if there's no other questions or comments? All righty, so we do have this request before us, stated there in item 7B for outside storage for Southern Cross Boat Work Incorporated at the vacant lots listed on the agenda. What is your pleasure?
Mayor, I so move that we request, accept the request for outside storage of Southern Crawford Works, Inc.
Motion has been made. Is there a second? Has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Green,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
and Mayor Alden.
Yes.
It passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members, thank you so much.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Okay, thanks so much. Okay, we'll move on to our agenda. Our next item is item 7C, and this is the consideration to set a date and time for a public hearing on the petition of road abandonment as presented in agenda item 4A. So we had the presentation. We'll ask Dante if he will just come forward again, just in case there's some questions. The applicant?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, while Dante's coming forward, just to put a staff recommendation in there to, if council is so inclined to set a public hearing date of Tuesday, February 2nd. We do have a couple of legal ads we have to put into the paper, so, on consecutive weeks. So that would give us just enough time to make the second. That would be a recommendation from the manager.
Okay. So we do have a recommendation committee.
And yes, if I just may add, should the desire of the council be to set this for public hearing, we do need to set the date and time at tonight's meeting. So that should be made as part of your motions to specify whether it's that date or another meeting date. But we do need, if your desire is to set the public hearing, to set the date and time tonight.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
Just want to be clear, Attorney, the options that we have to vote on tonight are one of two things, or?
Yes, ma'am. Your code says that the petition, once it's reviewed by staff, will, upon their recommendation, move to town council, which is what is before you tonight. Your options tonight are to deny the request, the petition for road abandonment, or to set the petition for public hearing.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Okay, and the staff recommendation is to set it for the next meeting?
Yes, sir.
What is that? The
Tuesday, February 2nd.
February 2nd. Okay.
And that would be at 6 p.m., is that correct, sir?
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I so move, setting the date for a public hearing to the recommended date from our manager, February 2nd, 6 p.m.
Second.
Petition of abandonment of road.
Sorry.
Motion has been made and seconded by Councilwoman Green. Are there any questions on the motion? Councilwoman Green. Okay. Any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Green,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
and Mayor Alden.
Yes.
It passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. We'll see you on the 2nd.
Thank you, I certainly appreciate all your assistance. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Our next item is item 7D, and this is a discussion on the award of a contract to Municode as the web company. So we're having a recommendation come forward, I would assume? Okay,
Yes,
Ken?
sir. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Town Council, something we've been discussing and, hashing over for a good bit of time now. Yeah, just to remind you, staff had 4 options on this. There were 4 companies that actually produced a bid, if you will, or a proposal. We got it down to 2 within the last month, and staff and myself, we talked about it. We feel like the best option is Municode. We've checked out their work. It looks like it's perfect for our needs. They're also the provider for South Palm Beach, if you care to get on that. I'll also forward you a list of other municipalities that they service. So we also have them for our code updates and whatnot, so we already do business with them. And it's, obviously a separate division, but we feel good about this. The amount for the first year would be $6,400. That includes $4,600 to create the website. And the hosting fee is $1,800. Now, in years following that, the amount would be $1,800 to host. There is no time frame on the agreement. There is a 60-day notification for both parties if either one cares to get out of it. So, and I know the attorney has looked at this one and the other one that we submitted to her, if she wants to weigh in on it, but I would say a management decision, but actually it's a staff decision. So I'll answer any questions that you may have.
Okay. Just before we do, Amita, you have anything from the
No, sir,
legal side?
I did review the proposals that Manager Metcalf provided, I think in advance of the last meeting. Even I, of course, reviewed what was in part of the backup tonight, but from a,
Say that again?
I reviewed the proposals that Manager Metcalf, thank you. I reviewed the proposals that Manager Metcalf provided. I can't speak to the technical merits. I do know that both of these companies do work for other municipalities, so they are common names. I didn't see anything from a legal perspective that was problematic in either of the proposals.
Okay, thanks so much, and I did see
Sorry
some
about that.
hands. Councilwoman Green, Vice Mayor.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mhm.
Mr. Metcalf, after the first year, you said then it would be 1,800.
That's the hosting fee.
It will remain, or will it go down the next year?
No, it'll stay at 1,800.
Okay, and then you said that we don't have to sign an agreement. In other words, we can let him go if we want to. He can let.
60-day notification by either party.
Close to $800. Okay, is there a timeline in that if we say, well, I hope we do agree tonight, when will he start working and how long will it take him this time since we haven't had a web page in 10 years? How long is it going to take him? We don't want to wait another year.
So what we will be doing, the legal staff will prepare an agreement, from our end, we'll sign their agreement. Once all parties have signed off and, there's agreement, it'll start immediately after that. I would say, give us 2 to 3 weeks to complete that task.
Thank you.
Once they start, and, all of the companies said it would take 4 to 5 months to complete it. So you're looking probably late spring before it's up and running.
May I ask the council, I don't know how they feel, they have to speak to themselves, but as you said, it takes 4 to 5 months, I guess, to build it. Will we have an opportunity to at least look at some of what he's doing during the process?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
How is that going to be done? I'm sorry, that maybe was not a fair question to ask you. I should have been asking him.
No, I think it's a fair question. They'll be able to do it virtually.
Okay,
They'll
gotcha.
be able to send us something we can put up on the screen. You can look at. We'll have him either on the phone or in person, which I doubt. Probably on the phone to ask questions.
So he'll be asking us, calling us individually? I mean, how is he going to, we're going to look at it virtually in a meeting, or will he be calling the mayor, for example? If he wanted to run something by the mayor?
It'll be in a meeting.
During the meeting?
We have one-on-ones. I'm sure I'll be sharing stuff with you along the way.
Okay, I'll talk to you. All right, thank you.
Okay, Vice Mayor?
Can I just share a little bit? I know, Councilwoman Green was not here when our last web designer was presenting for the website that we do have right now. He did present right on the screen to let us see what he was developing. So that was just about 2 years ago, wasn't it? 2 to 3 years ago.
That's right.
So we were able to see his ideas, even though the development didn't get completely to our satisfaction. But he did share some, we can see on the screen right there, and I believe that's probably the procedure we will use to see our next website, because we just have one now.
Could I respond to
Councilwoman
her?
Green?
Vice Mayor Johnson, meaning no disrespect, when I referred to the webpage we have now, and you said that we have now, my reason for, I guess, being apprehensive about it is because right now, and I've spoken to the town manager, and thank God for our attorney, I'm able to participate in the legislative delegation luncheons, because I have nothing negative about the webmaster, whoever it is now. It's not working, madam. And you keep coming, I don't mean to disrespect. Everything that they've sent to me has bounced back. I'm talking about personal. So when I make the comment, I would appreciate it if the webpage does not work for Addie Green. I'll just say that. Okay, because nothing gets to me through the webpage. Thank you.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure we didn't give the wrong information to our public, because we do have a website. I don't want to, anyone to think that we're negligent and providing a website. We have had one, but it has not been to our expectations.
Okay. All right, thanks so much. Any other questions or comments as it relates to the proposal before us? Any other questions or comments? Ken, just a couple of things, and we may not know this now, and if not, then we'll just touch base with them. And right. Now, look, we will, in as much as I'm trying to remember just reading through their proposal, we would have unlimited access to the website.
Yes, sir.
That also be unlimited changes.
All pages.
Okay.
All pages that goes, not just the front page, but to all pages.
Okay. What about changes or unlimited as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, one of the things, and I think what becomes a little confusing, and I'm not sure how, if they're able to do this for us, or if they can refer us to someone who can. I know it's difficult, once you put a page out there, it's difficult to actually get it off, out of the netherworld, so to speak, because you need to know who the webmaster was and who put it out there. Some of the things, I guess, and maybe it's a little confusing in that if you just hit the root engine and type in Mega in your park, there are a few things that come up, links, and they're either not working or they are working, and perhaps that leads to the confusion. So if we can sort of just clean up out there, if they're able to do that, we'll just pass that by them to see if they have that ability. They'll kind of share with us what we need to do and if they can. That way we have just that one out there once we get it done and it's operational, so that it's not confusing. Okay. Okay, and if they could also, if they could, we can go out there, and there were some cities, and if I guess what we can actually do is take a look at the ones that they do have. Was it Palm Beach?
South Palm Beach.
South Palm Beach, okay. Okay, so we'll just take a look at that one and see. And so just a suggestion, I'm sure each council person has already thought of this, just take a look at, go out there and take a look at the websites they have. And that way we sort of gain some idea what we would like to see if we see something out there we like West Palm Beach, I like their site. And so we take a look at it, and that way we can make recommendations as well. So as they're building it, we can make recommendations, absolutely. Yes. So that we have a website we like and one that works for us. Okay. All right, any other questions or comments as it relates to the proposal?
Yes.
Okay. Councilwoman Green?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to tell Mr. Metcalf that I'd like to have a meeting with you because I don't understand everything he's saying, and I want to make sure that I do what he's saying do, because that's important to me. So I didn't hear everything he was saying, so I'll ask you again. Because I want to do exactly what Mr. Albury is saying.
Okay.
You heard what I said?
Yeah, you want to have a meeting with the town manager just to sort of go over your ideas?
It's important to me, and I didn't hear everything, so I'm going to meet with Mr. Metcalf.
Okay. You heard everything, Ken?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think so.
Okay.
All righty. Okay, any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, I so move that we follow the recommendation for awarding the contract for Unicode as our web company designer.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any additional questions or comments on the motion? Go right ahead.
How much has been budgeted for website creation? This particular year?
I can hear you.
How much has been budgeted for our website development in this particular year?
We'll have to get you a good answer on that. I'd like to say we budgeted as much as 10,000.
Okay, I think that's what I remember too. Okay, thank you.
With apologies if that turns out to be correct. But we budgeted at least the amount, because we had these proposals in hand during the budget season.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Green,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
and Mayor Albright.
Yes.
It passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. Our next item is our public comment. So what we'll do now is open the floor, although we have no one here. We'll now open the floor virtually. So if there's anyone attending by way of our YouTube page or Zoom, we'll open the floor for them. And of course, we have that 45-second delay. So we'll attend to that now.
We have 3 viewers so far. We have 4.
I know what they said.
Guarantee one of them is Van Gogh.
So if there's anyone who's attending and you have any questions or comments, the floor is now open for public comment.
I need to block the building.
I feel so secure.
Because it's dangerous.
Okay. Okay, we've given them 45 seconds, and there's no one with a comment, so we'll close the floor to public comment. We'll now move on in our agenda to our reports. Ken?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Town Council, in the interest of time, and I don't mind saying safety, I'll forego my comments, and with the promise that on Friday afternoon, we'll get a very detailed manager's report via email. If you have questions for me tonight, I'll be happy to answer those. But short of that, I'll be sending out a manager's report.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments for Ken?
Mr. Mayor, I will add one thing. We did have a business owner pass away over the weekend. Dana Andrews, who owned American Yacht Restoration on Columbia Circle, was battling cancer for the last 18 months. He passed away on Sunday morning.
Yeah, certainly our prayers with this family. Yes, absolutely. Oh, boy. Okay. Okay, Captain? As submitted? Okay. All righty, any questions or comments for the Captain? Okay. Yep.
Just very thankful to see your beautiful security force here with us tonight. Thank you.
Councilman Smith?
You open the floor for council for comments, questions?
Yeah, because I don't know where we are. Are we on council comment?
No, we're on 9C at this point.
Where are we?
We're having reports. So at this point,
Where are we?
the Sheriff's Office.
9C. 9.
Well, I do have 1,000 questions.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
But I made him colonel, but I'll refrain from all asking all the questions. And you got a guy to your left flank over there. I'll refrain from asking questions as well. And we got Jeff over there asleep. I'm going to sleep. Sorry, Jeff. I think I've asked enough questions. I'm going to shut my mouth.
Okay. Now, Councilman, you have any questions for law enforcement?
not.
Okay, all righty. Okay, then we'll go now to 9C, legal amendment.
Nothing specific for you, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much. So at this time, we'll now have council comments. If there's any comments from council, Councilman Smith?
No.
Okay, Councilwoman Green?
Mr. Mayor, and that I'm new, well, I am. Mr. Metcalf, how has the council, I know we had a Pittman as a lobbyist before I became elected. So what procedures were we following to get any appropriations in the legislative budget, or were we getting any in it? Before we got the lobbyist, were we, Mangonia Park, ever included in the budget during the legislative session? If we were, how did we do it?
I do know that when I arrived, there was already an approved, I'm going to call it a grant, not an appropriation, but we did have an approved grant for a sewer line relining project that was about $600,000.
No, what I'm asking, how do we get in? Okay, we don't have the reason I'm asking is because now we have a representative here. So we don't have a lobbyist now, and they are working on, matter of fact, I think this Thursday, the legislature is discussing the appropriation budget, okay? So I know we are not in it. You told me we don't have any funding. We are not asking for the legislature anything. Am I right?
No, ma'am, not correct. We have a legislative list that we did provide for Mr. Pittman for 2 years. We're also going to give to Mr. Hardy's administrative aid, and, you know, that will go forward.
I think you answered my question there. So you're gonna get with, what's on Marvin's last name?
Mr. Hardy.
We're on.
Okay, our representative. So you're gonna get with him and see if we can get anything in the budget. So you do it.
And also Senator Powell. What, not them specifically, but their staffs, yes.
So then you're saying to me then, when the way Mangonia Park gets budget request is through you and you work with the representative and the senator? Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
You answered my question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The reason I ask that is because I think we have it good that we have our legislator here, and he just made a remark, Mayor Albert, that he loves his office. So in that we don't have the lobbyists now, wouldn't it be smart of us, matter of fact, Mayor, we could let the vice mayor do it, work a relationship with him, and let her develop a relationship where she can get us funding through him, since we don't have Pittman now, until we can hire Pittman back. Representative Johnson, that's a Freudian slip. Vice Mayor Johnson can work with him and the town manager now, since our representative is here. That's just my suggestion. Because money is tight and I do like him, but right now he is a very smart young man. And the county likes him and he's getting along, so he's there now, and I really believe that he can do a lot for us until we get Pittman. And I think Vice Mayor Johnson would be the person to work with him, since she's the vice mayor. Won't put it all on the mayor. And you. This is my suggestion. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Okay. Any other comments?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, Councilman Smith, you had something?
Yes. My question to the manager. When Councilwoman Green asked, since we are no longer using Pittman, what was the procedure? And I think, if I heard you right, you was focusing your attention to Senator Powell and Hardy's administrator to get the ball turning.
Hardy.
So to speak. So, you've already started that rapport and that communication, and you're getting tasked to kind of get things done. And that's your assignment, right? Our role as a manager. And so I want to be clear that you're here for the best interest of the town moving forward, and we have.
Mr. Smith.
Go ahead.
No, I just couldn't understand. I just wanted you not to get so close. I couldn't hear you, that was all. I just wanted to hear you.
I can lower my mask. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, sir. I just want to make sure I hear you.
Yes, I want to just, some clarity. So you have or have established that rapport, and staff and you are moving forward to Mr. Hardy, Mr. Powell. In the absence that we are no longer using Mr. Pittman, we kind of cut from the umbilical cord, Mr. Pittman. So, specifically, what are the things, we mentioned something there, what are the things that we're trying to get? Can you kind of tell us that, since that's my question?
Yeah, great question, and I'll answer it briefly.
Yes.
At the top of the list is water and sewer needs.
Yes.
We've been putting that out for a couple of years now. That money is hard to come by right now. We also have paving projects. The engineer has a 5-year roads plan that has like over $1 million worth of paving. There is a park plan that we came very close to having the funding, except that the governor vetoed that at the last minute. So those are some things off the top of my head. I can provide everyone with a list that we've been providing Mr. Pittman and also Senator Powell.
And And final, and my last question, I think you mentioned, or you have mentioned in the past, if I'm correct, Mr. Mike Bedard is also kind of in that same conversation. So we have options here. But what my point that I'm really driving is you're the manager. And your job is to manage and get things done. That's why we're at the point. But we're, as a government council, we're gonna monitor it. And I trust that, and I know you could get the job done. Eventually, so I don't expect anything lesser than that. And so I hope I'm not calling you out. I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, or anybody in this room. That's the process, and I kind of want to say, because I'm just one guy, I'm not an expert, but I have nothing but confidence. Everybody put in this, from our attorney to the deputy, to kind of the guard in this town, and so I'm going to let the process work. That's my comment. Yes.
Thank you so much. And just before we continue on with any comments, let the record reflect that Councilwoman Green has stepped off the dais for a moment. Yeah. Ken, if you can you just elaborate on what we normally did before we contracted with the Pittman Group? Because we had a history prior to that, so if you could just elaborate a little bit.
We did, and Councilman Smith brought up Commissioner Bernard. We've had numerous encounters and meetings with not only him, but his staff. We've been relentless in meeting with Senator Powell, and it used to be Mr. Chiquette was here previously. We submit annually, if you will, I don't want to call it a wish list, but we do submit a capital needs list, and we go into detail as far as who, what, when, where, why, and how, what we're looking for, why we need it, how much we think it's going to cost based on an engineer's assessment or a planner's assessment. And that's the usual process. Mayor Albury and I have actually been to Tallahassee a couple of times to speak with representatives, and I know that Vice Mayor and Councilwoman Buchanan Webb went last year. So there's ongoing conversations with anybody and everybody that we feel like can help us there. So, Mr. Mayor, I hope that answered your question.
Certainly. Just in terms of the process, how we get to that point, we generally will do what?
So to get to that point, we get council input primarily during the budget process. And we're able to take our capital improvement plan. We ask council either one-on-one or in public, what are your priorities? And we try to come up with 2 or 3 priorities that we feel like are reasonable and that we can get done within the next budget cycle. So that's the process I've had in place. When Mr. Pittman came on board with us, that amped things up a little bit politically speaking. So there were a lot more conversations with not just local officials, but officials statewide. And now that we don't have Sean anymore, we'll go back to where we were. We've received input from council numerous times during the budget process. These one-on-ones, I've asked everyone to give me 2 or 3 priorities. We've done that. And that's the list we submit going forward.
Okay. Have any follow-up question?
Yeah, I just, and this is just FYI for thought. And as long as I've been here on the dais and even sitting in the audience, past and previous town managers, we've worked with the county, not just the facilitators, and we've always went to them and asked we also did in the asking process, we kind of followed some type of format and protocol. Now, once you ask, and they know their schedule when they're in Tallahassee and the money's being allocated, that's all we can do, ask and event to get some return on what we're seeking. So that's what needs to continue to happen. So I guess in a nutshell, keep their relationship, their force established, and get some things done, and much needed to be done.
Mm-hmm. Yes, certainly. Okay, Councilor McGreen?
Mr. Mayor, could we have a point person from the staff to work with Mr. Metcalf? To work with our representatives on the appropriations that we will be requesting from? Just a question.
I'm sorry, is that a staff person or?
Could we have a point person, a point council person from this council to communicate directly with that little man over there and the town manager about any appropriations that we want for the town? That means that when there's a phone call or question or anything about appropriation, that one person, it goes through either Mr. Metcalf or the vice mayor. That's just my suggestion. The reason I'm saying is because I don't think that they should be, whoever the representative is should only be communicating with the town manager or one person up here, either you or her, and not all 5 people up here. It doesn't work that way.
Okay, council comments?
No, I'll just say, thank you very much, Councilwoman Green, for thinking so highly of my ability to facilitate.
You're the vice mayor. You're the vice mayor, that was why.
Mm-hmm.
That's protocol, the mayor or the vice mayor.
However, I would fall in line with the recommendations that would come from the council to facilitate any of those conventions. If it is a council, need for me to work along with the town manager or whatever, whoever, to facilitate the needs of our community, I'm willing to do it. However, I've been very comfortable with the mayor's connections, working with the town manager and the elected officials in Tallahassee, those that are making these grand decisions that are bringing things down. I do want to say my visit last year was meaningful. Going to Tallahassee gave me a broader scope on what other bills are being pushed and how the process works. And I'm just willing to help, but I don't think it needs to be me unless that can vote from
Okay, Councilman Smith, you had a comment?
I've already commented, and I commented with the indication. I guess I need to repeat it then. I get that giving someone a go-to person, but as far as the manager, he broke us and get everything started. If we need to act in a capacity of liaison, a direct go-to person, that's legal side of it, but it's all about relationships, so I get that. But it does start with the manager, that's the manager's mission. And I'm not saying that there's any question, but just, it starts there. And quite frankly, we all should, if we're gonna go that route, have, as you heard today, my door's open. Because you have the ability to go in there, but whatever way council goes with this, if it goes that direction, then I'm on board.
Okay. Well, to Councilman Smith's point, which is a very valid point, we all have input. One of the things that happens, of course, and I understand what Councilman Green is saying, and let's be coordinated in how it happens, and I think that's what we do. If indeed we have some items or some things that we want adjust, then of course what we do is we have our one-on-ones or we speak with the town manager who facilitates that process. Right now, as it relates to a code, do we have anything in our code as it relates to justice interaction?
I'm not seeing anything quickly. I would like, because there are some implications, I would like to look at that and bring you back a formal answer at the next meeting. Just because speaking directly, we start to get into lobbyist territory and who's speaking to whom. So if I could take a closer look when we're not in the heat of the discussion, at your code, but I don't believe that that's contemplated. I mean, your process has been your process for a long time. But I can certainly take a look at the code if that's council's direction.
Okay, certainly. And what we've done traditionally is that by way of our code, who's the person over of administration by way of code? Or the position? Right, and I think, and that's what we've traditionally done. If we need to change that.
What did you ask her?
I was asking by way of code, who is the council person over administration? And so what we've done in harmony with that, what we've done traditionally is just follow that as it relates to just how, what the code states. But if this council decides they want to do something different, then we do something different, of course. Okay? Alrighty, so with that, and of course, I think we'd all readily admit that having a lobbyist is the best thing to do because they're there, they have the feet on the ground, boots on the ground, they say, and do things. They're able to navigate through the process for us, and so we really appreciate that. We made a decision from financial reasons, and like every other municipality, because of COVID primarily, that we had to do a few cost-cutting measures. And so now we're back to the process that we had in place before, right? That we never ever abandoned. It's just that we were augmented by the fact that we had a lobbyist. And so we'll continue to do that. That process has yielded, in working with the county, I think it was Commissioner Priscilla Taylor that gave us money for the community center, for the ballpark lights when she was in Tallahassee. So we've always lobbied, that's the wrong word. So we've always gone before the necessary entities to get dollars. Having a lobbyist kind of helps push it real harder, but we've always done that historically. Okay, any other, okay, Vice Mayor, your comments.
Not in particular, I think we said enough.
Okay. Alrighty, okay. If there's nothing else, mine is just simply this, and they stepped out of the room for a moment, so I'll just make it for the record. I'd just like to thank the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office for their presence and for their service to the community and ensuring that everyone's safe during this very volatile time within our society. We really appreciate it, and so all I can say to you guys is thank you, and you stay safe as well. Stay safe as well. So we're praying for you and your families as well. Okay, thank you so much. If there's no other comments or questions? No? I'm sorry. Thank you so much. I gave to you just before we started the meeting, there was 2 forms. We had talked before, and I'm writing on mine. Okay. We had talked before about having some type of COVID protocol in place. One of the things, of course, COVID sort of hit everybody, every entity, unexpected. Right. So one of the things that we have to do is it relates to the safety of our facility here, as well as our staff and council members and everyone else. I had suggested that what we do, and it was just a suggestion, council can pick it up, and what I had suggested we do, in every facility, municipality that I've gone in thus far, they have a screening process. It's a very simple process by which you try and gather information to determine whether or not a person should be allowed, let me not say it that way because they get into legal issues, whether or not you're able to make a good decision as to where in your facility you would like to have people go. There's a questionnaire, and there's 2 versions of a questionnaire that I gave to you just as examples. And basically what it does is just gather information like, have you been around persons with COVID? Have you traveled out of the country? And those kind of things. As well as temperature checks. One of the things that happens is that if you have an office setting where persons or even employees, because people that are dying from COVID are employees of somebody's, right? And so you have the ability at that point in time to just, for instance, if someone is showing signs and symptoms, right, whether it's just what normally was the old common cold, do we at this point in time have things in place to protect our staff? And the answer to that is not really. And so what I'm suggesting we do is what every other entity has done in order to protect themselves is to go, just put in place a very simple measures by which you're able to screen individuals so that a good, intelligent decision can be made on how you're going to proceed with that individual. Now, I know from a legal standpoint, we don't have anything in place to say, well, you can't come in the building unless the governor declares the emergency like he did prior to, and he made it very specific, however. In the absence of that, just have some type of a screening tool so that, again, you'll know how you're going to make those good judgments as to how you're going to respond to individuals. Because if someone comes in right now and they have a temperature of 101, what do we do? Nothing. Nothing. Right. So, and if you, well, do you have diarrhea? You know, well, yeah, I just started yesterday and I had this high temperature and everything else. Well, those are some signs and symptoms. So what do we do to protect ourselves and our staff? Again, this is just a screening tool. It's not something to prohibit individuals from coming out. That's something we have to do with a little later in terms of what you do, but at least this allows us to screen. So with that, and of course, that's just a suggestion at this point. If our legal needs to take a look at it just to make sure, but again, it has stood the test of time for every business I know, state, feds, federal governments use them. So again, that's just for your viewing at this point, and then at the next meeting, we can take it up officially, try and put together something in place to protect us. Okay. Righty, that was it, and that's all I have. If there's nothing else, if not, motion for adjournment. Okay, motion has been made. Is there a second? Is there a second? Yeah, guess they want to stay. Councilman Smith, Councilman Green. A second for adjournment? Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, aye? Aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thanks so much. They want to stay, so you guys want to hold on for a little while? Okay. Thanks so much. Have a great afternoon and stay safe. Okay.
So, Mr. Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna cost $46.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you go to your